Mitaku api troka he le ampetu ki chante he taha iuskian na pe uchiuspa pelo le miecha I kanchola tipi ekta wahi na mazashkan shkan wapre wanji lakotia wogla kapi na lakho wichoch anki he na nupi u iwagla kinkte yellow Dwe chatukte nachuna kapiki hena wopilat hanka ipchelo. My relatives, first of all, on this day, from my heart, I extend my handshake in a happy way. This is me. I have come to the radio station, and for 1 hour, the Lakota language and culture I will speak upon. Those that, from wherever you are sitting and listening, I give you my words of thanks. Today is the July 1 edition, 30th episode. Thanks for hanging in for 30 episodes with me. My name is Dana Dupree. I will be your host for the Lakota Cultural Program. First of all, we'd like to review the previous show, try to remember what I presented, and we did lesson 11, I believe, of the Hechitu Elo. It's a student manual published by Oglala Lakota College in Kyle, South Dakota, January 1989. So that was a very informative lesson, and we talked about color, and there was probably some differences in pronunciation or identification of vocabulary words, but we are going to do the best we can to provide some information for those of you that are beginning Lakota language learners or speakers. We want to offer this for you so that you'll be able to learn alongside of me, learn with me, and teach me. And someday we'll be going to an area where we'll advance in the levels of speaking. Also, there was 2 stories. One about it was a book I had when I worked in the schools in 1984 to 90, and it's kind of a Southwest-oriented book, but it has a lesson. Teaches. There's a process of learning through stories. So this was a story called Not Good to Sleep on Rocks. And there was a story. And then talked a little bit about Little Bighorn, 150th anniversary of the battle. And then the second story was Mushti the rabbit. And he got in a bind, got himself in a little situation, but at the end, he was spared his suffering. And so a lot of times we get in situations and we don't know how to get out of those. And unfortunately, there's people out there or others that will help us through these times. As usual, we'd like to begin with a prayer. And the prayer that I use is the Serenity Prayer. Trunkashila wachwala makuyo. Daku waglutrokcha oakihisni. Hena omakyayo. Daku waglutrokcha oakihi. Hena wachake makuo. Na omakyaki lena u woksape wagluha kta yellow. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Hektakia akupo. Keep coming back. And I referenced this phrase for those of you that are in self-help programs. It could be aftercare, could be a relapse prevention, could be treatment, could be fellowship or sobriety groups. And it's in a serenity prayer is incorporated in a lot of areas. And at the end of a meeting, people would say, Hekta ke ake kupo, keep coming back. And that's probably what works, is that once you're into a recovery process, you cannot take any breaks. And if you do, there's always a possible relapse forthcoming. But we don't want that to happen. And I'm going to look at some information here. I know we did review some concepts, and there's a lot of information that is being presented throughout other gatherings, other programs, classrooms, and it's good that we're all going to work on a common goal, and that's to maintain a struggle to keep speaking Lakota. And what I was looking for is Champha Sapawi is coming up, or maybe upon us. And one pronunciation is Champha Sapawi, black moon of black chokecherries. And the other one is Champha Shawi, is the red chokecherries. So it depends on which area you're from. And then there's one, we Ochoka we, and that's the middle of the year. So that is a little information on the months. And then we are officially into the summer months, summertime. And there's probably a lot of powwows, wachipis, uskate, and there's a few more things planned throughout the summer, rodeos and ceremony. But it's all good. And it was kind of noisy. I came into the big city and the other night, and I thought I was being attacked. And there was all kinds of noise. And I said, well, I'm going back to the country and take some rest, because I don't know how people can sleep with all this noise. But maybe there's a curfew. I'm not sure. So we're going to jump right into what you call the lesson 12 of Heche Tuelo, and that is the money. And these are terms from OLC, the student manual. And so they could be usable here in Hohoju country, Itazipa Chola, Oohe Numpa, or Sihasapa. Oyate kena. Doke he wogalaka kena isa. Unkumpik, okoki, ashe, We're going to do this lesson first, and hopefully we can compare, identify differences, and make the changes that we need. The first part of lesson 12 is vocabulary. And I'm assuming that this vocabulary will be incorporated into the sentences. There's practice sentences. So the first one is maza shala. Maza shala is a penny, 1 cent. Second one is gashpapi okise. Gashpapi okise, nickel, 5 cents. Third one is gashpapi. Gashpapi is a dime, 10 cents. The fourth one is shokila. Shokila is a quarter, 25 cents. And then we go into another form, mazaska owapi. Mazaska owapi, a bill, paper money. Mazaska okise. Mazaska okise is $50 or 50 cents. And then Wajicha owapi. Wajicha owapi, $1 bill. And the term for money is mazaska. Mazaska. And the term for change is yushpu shpupi. Yushpu shpupi is change. Then it goes more advanced, talking about bills or paper money. The word owapi is used. Gives an example, wanjicha. Wanjicha is $1, could have been a silver dollar at one time. Wanjicha. Wanjicha owapi. Wanjicha owapi is $1 bill. And then next is zapta owapi. Zapta owapi is $5. 100 is opanwiche. Opanwiche. So when the amount is in the hundreds, you will use the following form. If it is $300, it will be written as the 100 first, then the basic factor, then the amount of hundreds in the bill. So the term $300, opawinche yamani owapi. Opawinche yamani owapi. 300 bills. 103 bills. $300, excuse me. Okay. When writing the tens up to 100, the basic factor is wikchemina. Example is wikchemina zapta owapi. Wikchemina zapta owapi. 10 5 bills, $50. Wikchemina zapta owapi. Then we get into the next section of the lesson is verbal conjugation. Verbal conjugation. So these are terms that will probably be utilized in the exercises. So we'll go with yuha. Yuha is to have. Beluha. Beluha, I have. Luha. Luha, you have. Yuha, he or she has. Yuha. Pluralization, yuhapi. Yuhapi, they have. Luhapi. Luhapi, you all have. Uyuhapi. Uyuhapi, we all have. And then the next one is to point at. Epazo. Epazo. I point at. Ewapazo. Ewapazo. You point at. Eyapazo. Eyapazo. he or she points at. Epazo. They point at, pluralization. Epazopi. You all point at. Eapazopi. We all point at. Eupazopi. Those are the verbal conjugations. And then we're going to go into a series of 9 exercises. Some are fill in the blanks, but we don't have the recording cassette, so we're just going to do the basic one and maybe try to fill in some blanks here. But we have to remember the vocabulary words and also the conjugations. First exercise, number 1, maza shala ki epazo ya. Maza shala ki epazo yellow. Point to the penny. And the example is shokela ki ichuya. Shokela ki ichuyo. Pick up the quarter. Number 2, kashpapi ki ichu na shokela ksi egnaka ye. Kashpapi ki ichu na shokela ksi egnaka yo. Pick up the dime and put it with the quarter. Number 3, kashpapi okise ki mak'u ye. Kashpapi okise ki mak'u yo. Give me the nickel. Number 4, kashpapi ki bluhaye. Kashpapi ki bluhaye lo. I have the dime. Number 5 is fill in the blanks, and you can practice by filling in the blanks with other vocabulary words. Mazaska oape waji yuhapi. Oh, luhapi. Yeah. Mazaska oapi ki luhapi yellow. You all have the bill. Number 6, mazaska okise ki uyuhapi. Yeah. Mazaska okise ki uyuhapi yellow. We all have the quarter. Number 7, wazicha oapi ki epazo. Yeah. Wazicha oapi ki epazo yellow. He or she points at the $1 bill. Number 8, mazaska ki bluhaye. Mazaska ki bluhaye lo. I have the money. Number 9, you spoopy ki yuhapi. You spoopy ki yuhapi yellow. They have the change. Now we're jumping into a written exercise. It says a multiple choice. Circle the correct Lakota word for the following. And first example, fictitious name, Mary, not referring to a specific person, but just an example. Mary here. Shokila wanji makuya. Shokila wanji makuya. Mary said, give me 1 quarter. Mazaska dona lahe. Oh, mazaska dona lahe. Mazaska dona laho. How much money is she asking for? And so it could be, she might be asking for mazashala, which is a penny, or wazicha oapi, might be asking for $1 bill, or shokela, a quarter. Number 2, gosh, this is a long sentence. So hopefully you don't get lost. Kashpapi nupa na, kashpapi okise na, shokela na okise bluhaki, mazaska dona bluhakta he. Kashpapi nupa na kashpapi okise na shokela na okise bluhaki, mazaska dona bluhakta. Ho. I had a dime, 1 nickel, 1 quarter, and $50. How much do I have? I think it totals up to $1. Is my guess. But I had 6 choices. So. Number 3, another long one. Shokila num maku ipreki he mazaska dona kta he. Shokila num maku ipreki he mazaska dona kta ho. If I said, give me 2 quarters, how much will that be? So 2 quarters is 25 plus 25 is $50, 50 cents. Okay. And so we look at the mazaska okise is $50. Okay, number 4. Shokila topa na okise bluhaki mazaska dona bluhakta. Shokila topa na okise bluhaki mazaska dona bluhakta. Ho. If I had 4 quarters and $1.50, how much will that be? So it could be $1.50 is my guess. Wajicha sam okise. Number 5, maza shala wikjemna bluhaki he maza ska donakta he. Maza shala wikjemna bluhaki he maza ska donakta ho. If I have 10 pennies, how much is that? And so the answer would be gashpapi. According to this lesson, gashpapi is a word for dime. Number 6, another long one. Oh, shoot, we got 12. We're halfway there. Gashpapi wikjemna bluhaki he mazaska donakja kta he. Gashpapi wikjemna bluhaki he mazaska donakja kta ho. I have 10 dimes. How much do I have? So I think it's called wanshicha. Wanshicha, $1. 1 American dollar is my guess. Number 7. Gashpapi numpa na gashpapi okise na shokela yamani bluha he mazaska dona kta he. Gashpapi numpa na gashpapi okise na shokela yamani bluha he mazaska dona kta ho. And I believe I have 2 dimes, a nickel, and 3 quarters. How much do I have? Wanshicha. I think it totaled up to $1, according to my arithmetic. And this one's a long one, number 8. Dakuini shnia yuspuspupi gashpapi wikchemina zapta bluhana mazaska oapi daku waji wachiki he mazaska oapi daku waji mayak ukta he. Dakuni shnia yuspuspupi gashpapi wikchemina zapta bluhana mazaska oapi daku waji wachiki he mazaska oapi daku waji mayak uktaho. If I had nothing but 50 dimes, I ask you to give me the same amount in bills. Which of the bills will you give me? So you have to total that up. I have nothing but 50 dimes. 50 dimes is gashpapi wikjemna zapta. And then you have to figure that out. Number 9, another long one. These must be trick questions. Mazaska oapi eta wachini. Yuspuspupi ki lena bluha. Kashpapi okise wikjemna topa na kashpapi numpa na okise zapta. Taku mazaska oapi mayak ukta he. Mazaska oapi etan wachini yuspuspupi ki hena bluha. Kashpapi okise wikjemna topa na Kashpapi numpa na okise zapta. Taku mazaska oapi mayak ukta ho. I need some bills for this change. 3 dimes, 40 nickels, 2 dimes, 5 $50. What kind of bills will you give me? Wikchemna zapta oapi is my guess. $5? I don't know. I better look for the answer book. Number 10, Zapta oapi wikchemna na oapi yamani ki he mazaska tona bulhakta he. Zapta oapi wikchemna na oapi yamani ki he mazaska tona bulhakta ho. If I had $10 bills and 3 $10 bills, how much money do I have? I think it's 35, I'm guessing. Number 11, Wiksemna Zapta Oapi Num Bluha. Aha Hemaza Skatona Bluhakta Ho. Wiksemna Zapta Oapi Num Bluha. He mazaska dona bluhakta ho. I have 2 $50 bills, then how much money do I have? And I think the answer is opawinre oapi. $100. I think. I'm guessing. Okay, the last one. Number 12. Wikjemna oapi na wajicha oapi. Dopa na okise. Saglocha na shokela. Ki he mazaska donakta he. Wikchemna oapi na wajicha oapi dopa na okise. Saglocha na shokela. Ki he mazaska donakta ho. How much is the following? $10, 4 $1 bills, 8 $50, and 8 quarters. Wikchemna num opawinche. Oh, Wikchemna num oapi is my guess. And here's the conclusion of the lesson 12. Again, they say if you feel you haven't mastered the material, you may stop the tape. Let's stop the tape. The tape is now stopped. And you can go back to the beginning. You have to rewind it, like push rewind, and it'll make that noise. And rewind, and then you repeat until mastery of the material is achieved. Good job. Very good job. Very good job. And we are at the halfway point of the program. And so that was very interesting. And we can review that periodically. There's probably, you can expand on those lessons as needed. I believe we have some time. We have some time to learn and to grow. And I'm going to look into the story time at this time. And as soon as I find the page, and this is a good story. They're all good stories. This one is for you, especially for you. Did you ever wish upon a star? Did you ever want to dance with a star? Well, this is a story of Coyote, and this is a Southwest, and this comes from the Cheyenne, the Shayela. The Shayelas, met a lot of Northern Cheyenne in my recent endeavors. And I learned a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, just stuff. I still have to stuff it into my brain and turn that little thing that winds it, processes it through, and then it'll give me a summary of what stuff I learned. Coyote dances with the stars. Because the great mystery power had given Coyote much of his medicine, Coyote himself grew very powerful and very conceited. There was nothing he believed that he couldn't do. He even thought he was more powerful than the great mystery. For Coyote was sometimes wise, but also a fool. One day long ago, it came into his mind to dance with a star. I really feel like doing this, he said. He saw a bright star coming up from behind a mountain and called out, "Ho, you star, wait and come down. I want to dance with you." The star descended until Coyote could get a hold of him, and then soared up into the sky with Coyote hanging on for dear life. Round and round the sky went the star. Coyote became very tired, and the arm that was holding onto the star grew numb as if it was coming out of its socket. "Star," he said, "I believe I've done enough dancing for now. I'll let go and I'll be getting back home." "No, wait. We're too high up," said the star. "Wait till I come lower over the mountain where I picked you up." Coyote looked down at the earth. He thought it seemed quite near. "I'm tired, star. I think I'll leave now. We're low enough," he said, and he let go. Coyote had made a bad mistake. He dropped down, down, down. He fell for a full 10 winters. He plopped through the earth clouds at last, and when he finally hit the ground, he flattened out like a tanned, stretched deerskin. So he died right there. Now the great mystery power had amused himself by giving Coyote several lives. It took Coyote quite a few winters, however, to puff himself up again into his old shape. He had grown quite a bit older in all that time, but he had not grown less foolish. He boasted, "Who besides me could dance with stars and fall out of the sky for 10 long winters and be flattened out like a deer hide and live to tell the tale? I am Coyote. I am powerful. I can do anything." Coyote was sitting in front of his lodge one night when from behind the mountain there rose a strange kind of star, a very fast one, trailing a long, shining tail. Coyote said to himself, "Look at that fast star. What fun to dance with him," he called out. "Ho, strange star with the long tail, wait for me. Come down. Let's dance." The strange, fast star shot down, and Coyote grabbed hold. The star whirled off into the vastness of the universe. Again, Coyote had made a bad mistake. Looking up from his lodge into the sky, he had no idea of that star's real speed. It was the fastest thing in the universe. It whirled Coyote around so swiftly that first one, then the other of his legs dropped off bit by bit. Small pieces of Coyote were torn off in this mad race through the skies until at last only Coyote's right hand was holding on to that fast star. Coyote fell back down to earth in little pieces, a bit here and a bit there. But soon the pieces started looking for each other, slowly coming together, forming up again into Coyote again. It took a long time, several winters. At last Coyote was whole again, except for his right hand, which was still whirling around in space with the star. Coyote called out, "Great mystery! I was wrong. I'm not as powerful as you. I'm not as powerful as I thought. Have pity on me. Then the great mystery power spoke. Friend, Coyote, I have given you 4 lives. 2 you have already wasted foolishly. You better watch out. Have pity on me, wailed Coyote. Give me back my right hand. That's up to the star with the long tail, my friend, said the great mystery. You must have patience. Wait until the star appears to you rising from behind the mountain again. Then maybe he will shake your hand off. Coyote asked, how often does this star come over the mountain? And the great mystery said, once in 100 lifetimes. And that's the end of that story. So be careful. If you want to go dance with the stars, don't grab onto the tail of that fast one, because your hand will be stuck there for several lifetimes. So that is a story that I want to share with you, and it was really something that I'd want to try, but I never did. I'm not like Coyote. I don't have 4 lives. So I have another story, but I'm going to keep you in suspense. We did have some activity of recent time, and I just returned from Montana. I went on a journey, 2-week long journey. I was following some people, and wherever they went, I followed. When they stopped, I stopped. When they rested, I rested. When they traveled, I traveled. And then when they ate, I watched them. And because I'm used to eating at Dairy Queen. I'm just kidding. But there was a good experience. I believe there was a lot of young students, youth, that rode 350 miles from here to Pezisla, they call it. And it's that was the destination. I think on June 25th or 24th, I believe they reached that. Somewhere in there, I can't remember. But it was mission accomplished, and I commend all the riders, the support crew. And I was asking around, and I think there was one person, I think he's 10 years old. He rode all the way, not even one day off. Rode his little pony, and he was carrying the staff, and then he was kind of borrowed a horse here and there. And he made all the way, 350 miles. That's awesome. And the rest, there's one that missed one day, rested one day. And there's probably others. They had some that were injured, but they got back on and kept riding. And it's difficult to ride along a prairie with a lot of sweet clover. You don't know what's under that sweet clover. It could be a hidden culvert. It could be a water pool. It could be a fence post. It could be trash. Trash could spook your horse and it would jump. So they had a little bit of excitement along the way. Unfortunately, nobody got hurt seriously. And they were able to charge the hill. And that was something that was probably historic for those that were in attendance on the 25th. As the crowd anticipated, there was people gathered on the hill, and the riders went from a crew agency. They call it the Veteran Circle. That's where we unloaded the horse trailers. And then through time, they got ready and they made their way towards the park, north of the park. And all of a sudden, the crowd got all excited. Wana upelo, shungaka kile wana upelo, the riders are coming. Igluyampo, get ready. And that meant get your camera or your cell phone. And my kola from Rapid City, I can't remember his name. Instead of filming the riders, he was taking a selfie. So I had to turn his camera the other way. I said, hey, kola, you're supposed to be filming the riders. Wait, I'll get one more selfie. But pretty soon there was a couple of the staff barriers were up in front, and then they went through the ravine, and then pretty soon the charge was issued, and they hollering, hollering, and their horses were going full blast up the. And up on a hilltop there was traditional leaders, staff or wapaha, those that wear the feather headdresses. They were standing up there, representing the different nations. And some of the riders were carrying staffs and also flags, and they were all painted and decorated. And some were carrying coup sticks. The previous night or nights before the charge, some of the youth in the camp were decorating their coup sticks, and they were going to count coup on the 7th Cavalry again. So when they descended up on that hill and they circled them leaders up there, it was quite a sight to see. And it was something that I'll always remember. And I didn't take that many pictures because my memory was low. I didn't have service. No, I didn't. Besides, I was too lazy anyway. It was about nap time. When you get up there in age, you got to have a nap before you do anything else. But it was a great deal. And then we kind of wandered around. We had the Cheyenne River, Pejisla, Wichoti, Cheyenne River Camp. I found that place, got to see some of the areas of the camps, and then wandered around and went to another camp called the All Nations Camp. There was a lot of activity there, probably at both places, and I scheduled, and then got to see a couple of movie stars, and got to drink some good herbal tea and have some, I can't remember what it was. It was delicious food anyway. And fed the mosquitoes. And one of the things that, as we progress to Montana, is there's a lot of people that say things. Do it this way, do it that way. This is my story, My relatives were in this battle and all this. So there's a lot of people that say things, and then there's people that do things, like these young riders that went all the way from Cheyenne River to Crow Agency, 350 miles. They do things. And if you do something, you'll remember that. Remember that. But if you say things, you're going to probably forget what you said. And that's one of the reasons why I try to write down things. Because I can't be changing my mind, changing my story. I'm just a waterman. And one of the things that I also wrote down was that these young people, they made a statement, And it makes a lot of sense that we're here. No, we are here. And they said, we're not here to make money. We didn't come to Pejishla to make money. We came here to make history. That's what they said. So I speak for them young people. And I commend them. I hope they're all resting, getting rested, and healing up from some of the injuries, the soreness. And you don't, if you're not out there on the trail, it's really different. You're getting cooked by the sun and wind burnt, and you're thirsty and you're hungry and your horse is tired and you're tired. And you keep asking how many more miles, and the waterman keeps saying 10 more miles. And somebody says, oh, it's over that hill, just over the hill. But there's a lot of people that were very, very instrumental in making sure that everybody got to where they're going safely. And that's the good part of it. So I have a few minutes, and I'm going to end with a story. And this is the second story. And again, this is from the Passamaquoddy. And it's a good story. It has some teachings, and there's some comparison to Lakota society. And so this is a little narrative that before the story starts, it says, in many tribes, the owl has a sinister meaning. In the Northwest, the owl calls out the names of men and women who will die soon. Among the Sioux, the owl guards the entrance to the Milky Way, over which the souls of the dead must pass to reach the spirit land. Those who fail the owl's inspection because they do not have the proper tattoo on their wrists or elsewhere are thrown into a bottomless abyss. Among some nations, on the other hand, the owl is a wise and friendly spirit, an advisor and a warning giver. A Passamaquoddy tale depicts the owl as having love medicine and a magic love flute, powers that the Plains people attribute to the owl husband. A man and his wife lived at the edge of their village near a stream. They had a beautiful daughter who many young men wished to marry, but she was proud and no suitor pleased her. Her father, caught between his daughter's haughtiness and the rejected suitor's anger, hoped to appease both by promising to give his daughter to the man who could make the embers of his hearth fire blaze up by spitting on it. Naturally, since spitting tends to put out a fire rather than kindle it, none of the young men succeeded. There lived in the village an old woman whom many suspected of possessing evil powers, and their suspicions were well grounded. In reality, she was an owl in disguise, and her nephew, the great horned owl, ruled the whole tribe of these bad and scheming birds. Because he wanted the haughty girl for his wife, he assumed the shape of a good-looking young hunter and went to his aunt for help. Here, she said, and she gave him a magic potion to drink. This will enable you to fulfill that old man's condition. The handsome young hunter went at once to the lodge where the young girl lived. He found her father entertaining the tribal elders among them the chief of the village. Old man, said the owl in disguise, is it true that you will give me your daughter if I make your fire blaze up by spitting on these hot ashes? Certainly, young man, said her father. If he can do this, I will indeed let you have my daughter. The suitor spit on the glowing embers, which immediately blazed into a mighty flame, reaching the ceiling of the lodge, shooting up through the smoke hole, thrusting far into the sky. Since the girl could not refuse after her father made his promise in front of the elders and the chief, the hunter seized her by the hand and took her with him to his lodge. There her old husband spread out a soft bear robes for her and did all that a young bridegroom should do for a beloved wife. When the girl woke up after her first night as a married woman, she gazed at her sleeping husband and discovered something awful. His ears stuck up from his long, thick black hair, and his yellowish eyes, which he kept half open even in sleep, had pupils that contracted at intervals into narrow slits. The girl sat for a long time petrified with fear because now she knew that the handsome young hunter was the terrible great horned owl himself. The spell was broken when the husband's aunt entered and nudged the girl. "What's the matter?" she asked. "Why are you sitting there staring at him like this?" Then the young girl let out a piercing scream and fled. The whole village tried to console the young woman for the shocking trick that had been played upon her. The great horned owl left the neighborhood because now everybody knew who he really was. However, he still hoped to regain his beautiful wife by tricking her a second time. The owl chief waited a while for the villagers to forget their fear and suspicion. Then he changed himself once more into a young man, also good-looking but very different in appearance from his former disguise. He killed a moose and an elk and dragged the meat to the village and announced to the people, "I have come as a friend from another camp nearby. I belong to your people and speak the same language. I want to live among you. I am a great hunter and a generous man. I am putting up a lodge and I have much meat, so I invite everyone to a feast." At first, the haughty young woman and her parents were suspicious and did not want to keep the invitation. But all the people said, "Why, he's just a good-natured stranger. It would be impolite not to go," so they went. While the villagers were feasting, the newcomer said, "Let's tell stories. Has anybody had something strange and remarkable and funny happen to him?" When it was the proud girl's turn, she looked straight at the host and said, "My story must be told in a whisper. In order to hear it, you must all put your hair back and uncover your ears." The guests smiled and did as she said, but the host did not. "My hearing is keen," he told her. "I can understand a whisper from a great distance. I don't need to uncover my ears." But everyone laughed and called, "Uncover them, uncover them." "I'm your host," he replied. "You're being rude and impolite. Stop making all that noise." But they cried even louder, "Uncover them, uncover them." And at this the host grew very angry and shouted, "All right, here, look." Throwing back his hair, he uncovered his ears that were standing up like horns. With cries of terror, the guests rushed out of the village. The great horned owl's aunt was as angry as he. "The young wife of yours is far too clever," she told him. "We must make something to outwit her." Having the power of a great sorceress, she created a magic flute that would lure any girl into the arms of the man who played it. "With this, nephew," she said, she won't be able to stop herself from coming to you." The great horned owl, again disguised as a man, tried to carry out his aunt's scheme, but the haughty young woman and her parents were now so wary that they had put their lodge right in the center of the village and never strayed far. The weeks went by as he waited for his opportunity, and still the horned owl could not manage to come near his wife. On the last day, this proud girl said to herself, "It's been so long that the great horned owl has surely forgotten about me. He has given up, while my fear of him is still imprisoning me. It's time for me to go out and walk in the woods the way I used to." In a bad mood, the great horned owl was sitting high in the crotch of a huge tree. "I'm wasting my time," he thought. My wife is so afraid of me that she stays in the middle of the village. It's hopeless. I must stop thinking about her. Brooding, he saw someone coming through the woods. With his sharp owl eyes, he recognized her. Though he could hardly believe it, his heart began to beat very fast. The proud girl came right to the foot of the big tree, unaware of her husband's presence. She sat down and said to herself, "How good to be out in the forest again without feeling afraid. How I enjoy this." Then she heard some sweet sounds that soon formed into a wonderful song, magical, alluring, bewitching. She abandoned herself to the sound of the flute. I could never resist a player who makes this wonderful music, she thought. Then the great horned owl swooped softly down upon her, seizing her gently in his huge talons, carrying her off to the village of the owls. There they lived as man and wife, and the haughty girl eventually became used to being married to the great horned owl. Women have to get used to their husbands, no matter who they are. And that's the end of the story. Story number 2, the owl husband. So with that, I will close. Thank you very much for your time. Wana miglustancha tiata wagnina asniwa king telo na ke trokata ke hele chiwa una wagla king ta chatwena na khuna ka ke le ampete ke le na ma ke he wopila tren ke prel na petu waste yo hapo na ke toksha ke wachinia ka pik telo he chitulo ha mitaku ye oyase.